Hey guys, what's up? In this video, we are going to talk more about how to improve your writing, and I'm going to share with you 3 books that I'm currently studying to improve my writing. So as you guys might have realized or might know, for my job, for what I do, I have to do a lot of writing. I have to write blog posts, I have to write emails, I have to write YouTube descriptions, I have to write, Instagram posts. I have to do a lot of writing, and I have to write business emails, all kinds of things, okay? So writing is a huge part of my job, and since it's such a big part of my job, I want to make sure that I write well. And I am an independent learner, as many of you are, and I just love getting books and materials and courses to study on my own to learn how to improve my skills. And I just analyze all of this stuff, okay? So I'm going to share with you a few of the books that I'm currently studying, and then we are actually going to read through one of the chapters, okay? I'm going to pull out specific tips from the chapter, and we are going to talk about it, okay? So first, this one is The Elements of Style by William Strunk Jr. and E.B. White, okay? The Elements of Style. And I got this one on Amazon, and I got it used. So you can easily order this one online as well. And I think you can also find, what is it called? You can get the ebook version, and there might even be a free version available. If you look for a free PDF, I think I found a free PDF of this book when I Googled it. Okay, so that's a really cool tip. And then this one is called On Writing Well, and it's by William Zinsser. Okay. Now, what I have to say about these 2 books is that these are some of the best, okay? Any good writer, any serious writer is going to own these books because these are like the gold standard of writing, okay? And all of my friends who also are writers and use, writing in their businesses, etc., they own these books, they study these books, they use them as reference books. Like if you're thinking about, how you should say something or how you should reword something, or grammar, punctuation, etc. These books are so helpful for that. Now, what I will say is that these books are written for native English speakers. So they are not written for English learners or people who don't have a high level of comprehension in English. But most of you do. Most of you understand my videos without subtitles. I mean, I make videos for advanced English learners. So I think you guys will be fine with this material. And if you don't understand something, just read it a few times until you do understand it. Also, I made a video on YouTube a while back about how to improve your writing, and I think that's a really great resource for you guys as well, so make sure you watch that video. It's the only video on my channel right now that is about writing. And in that video, I actually say that I don't recommend learning writing from English teachers. I recommend learning it from other writers, from professional writers. And there were a couple people who got offended with this comment, but it's true. At the end of the day, an English teacher is there to teach you grammar and prepositions and vocabulary, etc. And yeah, maybe they do know about writing or they do know some writing, but the people who are the best writers are writers, okay? And I choose to study from the people who, make a living writing, okay? I'm not just gonna study from an English teacher, I'm gonna study from, writers who have proven their success. So that's what I recommend you guys do as well. Don't just listen to tips from English teachers on how to improve your writing, but if you really want to become a good writer in English, then you have to study material that's 1, made for native English speakers, and 2, is written by writers, successful writers, okay? So I'm constantly trying to improve my own writing ability, so these books, I love them. Maybe I'm a nerd for loving them, but also, as you know, writing is such a big part of what I do. So, I hope you got a chance to watch this course, the Good Writing, what did I call it? Good Writing Habits. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot the name of my own course. Anyways, the course that this video is in. I hope you got a chance to watch this course because I talk about a lot of the main points or a lot of the main mistakes, the biggest mistakes that people make in their writing. And it's usually about the way they format their writing. That's, one of the biggest mistakes is that you have big blocks of text, your sentences are too long, etc. Anyways, The next book that I'm studying, and I'm going to tie this into what I just said, is the Copywriter's Handbook, okay? Now, if you don't know, copywriting is the study of advertising. It's, not just the study, it's copywriters write advertisements, okay? So it's like doing sales, but in the written form. A salesperson usually does sales over the phone or in person. They talk and they sell you something in person, like a car salesman or something. But a copywriter writes to sell, okay? And I do a lot of copywriting in my business, and that's why I had to learn about copywriting, because I'm showing you guys different products and services that I offer that can benefit you, and I want you to invest in them, right? I try to help you help yourself, but you have to invest in the products. And selling is never easy. Selling is really difficult. There's a lot of, psychology that you have to learn. Sorry, I have a hair in my mouth. There's a lot of psychology that you have to learn in order to get people to trust you, to take that step, to invest in the product, to motivate them with your words so that you can get them to actually consume the material, because, the only way someone can have success with, my videos or whatever is if they actually consume them and then implement what I say, right? If not, they're just videos. They're not going to help anybody. So there's so much involved in copywriting. So that's why I'm studying this. But the interesting thing is that I was reading this book the other day and I came across a chapter that was teaching everything that I teach you guys in the writing course that I have here in the English 24/7 program. So I want to share part of that chapter with you guys and read some of the examples and read some of the tips, because it just dives a little bit deeper into everything that I shared in this course. And of course, I want to encourage you guys to also invest in these books. Definitely these two, okay? If you need to do any kind of business writing or anything like that, these two books are the best. This one is more specific because it's about a specific kind of writing, which is copywriting and advertising, which I just mentioned, okay? So we're gonna go through one of the chapters, and this chapter is about, what's it called? Writing to communicate. Okay, writing to communicate. So here's the deal. A lot of people, when they write, they are not thinking about their audience. They're thinking about themselves. They're thinking about what they want to say and how they want to say it. And they want to impress people with their writing. And if that's what you want to do, if that's what you're thinking, then you're already off on the wrong track, okay? Because your ego is in control, basically. You're thinking about yourself and wanting to impress people. And good writing is actually very simple. It's not, it doesn't have big words and it's not super technical and all this stuff. There are times and places for all of that kind of writing, but let's just jump into it. Anyhow, if I seem like I'm going all over the place in this video, it's because I already recorded this video, but unfortunately my microphone didn't work. So now I'm recording it again and I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, wait, did I say that already? Did I not? So I'm really, really sorry about that, but it's life and it happens. So we just have to deal with it, right? Okay, so writing to communicate. Let's go through some of these tips. So some of the sections, are made bold. You can see the bold section there. And I'm just going to read them and then we're going to dive deeper. So this one says break the writing into short sections. Then it says use short sentences. Use simple words. Avoid technical jargon. Be concise. Be specific. Go straight to the point. There's a lot of good advice in here. Write in a friendly conversational style. Avoid sexist language. Okay, so this is all about how to do copywriting, but this can also apply to things like blog posts or when you're writing a post on Facebook, when you're interacting with people, when you are writing business emails. Obviously, there's a time and a place for certain things like avoid jargon, okay? If you are writing a scientific paper for your college class and you're writing to other scientists or other people who understand the subject, then of course you can use specific jargon related to whatever you're talking about. But if your audience is regular people, you want to write so that your audience understands you. So you want to write using simpler words. This is why you have to write with your audience in mind, okay? So yes. let's look at some of these tips. Okay, so break the writing into short sections. I'm going to read some of this for you. Paragraphs should also be kept short. Long, unbroken chunks of type intimidate readers, right? When you see a huge paragraph this long, you think, oh, that's going to be really difficult to read. So it says, a page filled with a solid column of tiny type says, this is going to be tough to read. Exactly what I just said. Okay. So you want to be breaking up your writing into shorter paragraphs. Make it easy for your reader to consume whatever it is that you're writing. The next tip is use short sentences. So short sentences are easier to read than long sentences. All professional writers, newspaper reporters, publicists, magazine writers, copywriters are taught to write in crisp, short, snappy sentences, okay? So what does this mean? That means that good writing is simple, okay? This actually goes against what a lot of people believe. A lot of people believe that your writing is good if it sounds complicated, but the truth is that complicated writing is usually unclear. It doesn't get the message across. It's actually a lot harder to write using very simple, basic sentences with short words, etc. Good writing a lot of times looks like a first grader wrote it, okay? An intelligent first grader. Like that's the kind of writing. Short words, short sentences. You also want to vary the sentence length. We'll talk about that too. But that's good writing, when people can really understand what you're saying and you're not adding unnecessary words and unnecessary phrases to it, okay? So it says, long sentences tire and puzzle your readers. By the time they have gotten to the end of a lengthy sentence, they don't remember what was at the beginning. And this happens to me all the time. Sometimes I get emails from some of you and the sentences are just so long. I'm like, wait, what are they trying to say? You can be much more clear in your writing just by writing shorter sentences, okay? So now let's talk about how many words should be in your sentences. So D.H. Menzel, co-author of Writing a Technical Paper, okay, so this is a person who wrote a book called Writing a Technical Paper, conducted a survey to find the best length for sentences in technical papers. He found that sentences became difficult to understand beyond a length of about 34 words, and the consumer has far less patience for wordiness and run on sentences than does the scientist studying an important report. So basically, a scientist or someone who's highly educated and they're studying something very technical, they have more patience to get through longer sentences because sometimes you need to use more words to explain an idea in a technical paper. And a scientist or someone with a high level of education is going to have the patience to get through that. But normal people don't. Normal people want the message delivered quickly and easily. So that's what you have to think about when you're writing, even in business emails. Okay, business emails are not technical papers, okay? You don't have to be super formal and, use super long, formal sentences. Just get to the point, say what you have to say. In business, things are quick, okay? We don't like taking up unnecessary time and space with formalities like, how are you doing today? For example, skip over that. When I send a business email, I rarely say that kind of stuff. Anyhow, we're getting a little off topic because this video is not about business emails. It's just about writing in general. Anyhow, if you are studying in a university or if you do have to write technical papers for your work, then I recommend you read this book, Writing a Technical Paper by D.H. Menzel, okay? Because that's what it's about and it will help you with that. Okay, next, Rudolf Flesch, who is another author, okay, best known for his books Why Johnny Can't Read and The Art of Plain Talk, says that the best average sentence length for business writing is 14 to 16 words. 20 to 25 words is passable, he adds, but above 40 words, the writing becomes unreadable. Okay, so those are probably two other good books to read. In fact, I do want to read them. So after I finish these two on writing well and the elements of style, okay, I'm probably going to purchase Why Johnny Can't Read and The Art of Plain Talk, not just because I read about them here, but because I've heard my friends talk about them as well, and I've read about them in articles. So I think they have really good information. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, that should be pretty clear. We're going to skip over to the next part. So writing becomes dull when all sentences are the same length. This is something else for you to think about. I talk about this in the course too, varying the sentence length, making some sentences that are a little bit longer, like 20 words, making some sentences that are shorter, like 5 words. Remember, shorter sentences create more impact. They're more direct, more clear, and they pack a punch, okay? They're very punchy. Next, to make your writing flow, vary sentence length. By writing an occasional short sentence or sentence fragment, you can reduce the average sentence length of your copy or writing to an acceptable length, even if you frequently use lengthy sentences. So they even give examples in this book, and in all of these books, they give examples like a bad sentence versus a good sentence. And that, I think, is really helpful, because then you can think about that when you are writing. Okay. So train yourself to write in crisp, short sentences. When you have finished a thought, stop. Start the next sentence with a new thought. Okay, don't try to add all of your thoughts into one sentence. When you edit, your pencil should automatically seek out places where a long string of words can be broken in two. Okay, the next tip is to use simple words. This part is really interesting. So it says, simple words communicate more effectively than big words. People use big words to impress others, but they rarely do. So yeah, again, we talked about this earlier. People try to impress others by sounding poetic in their writing or by writing big words, but that rarely impresses people. Okay, it just confuses them. So more often, big words annoy and distract the reader from what the writer is trying to say, right? This happens all the time in textbooks. A lot of textbooks are actually very poorly written because the sentences are long and confusing and contain tons of jargon like that the students haven't even learned yet. And it's just annoying, right? I remember when I was in college, one of my strategies for understanding what was in my textbooks was to read a paragraph and then rewrite that paragraph in plain English, because I was so tired of all the complicated sentences and the complicated word structures. When you're trying to learn, it's like you don't want to have, you're trying to learn something that you don't understand. So reading something that's confusing on top of it is just more confusing, right? So these are things we have to think about when we are teaching others, when we're helping others, when we're writing for an audience. The more complicated your writing is, the more confusing it is, and people just won't read it. They will not spend their time. Think about it. We live in a day and an age where, people's attention spans are just getting shorter and shorter. So you have to get to the point quickly. Like, this video is probably too long already, but oh well. Okay, so here we go. Yet, big words persist because using pompous language makes the reader or speaker feel important. So we talked about this. People do it because it strokes their ego. It makes them feel good. But writing isn't about you. It's about your audience. So keep that in mind. Okay, so now here's a list of big words versus a substitute for that word or phrase. So a big word might be assist, right? You probably know what this means. It means to help. So just say help, right? Help is a shorter, clearer word in English. The word automobile, instead of writing automobile, just write car, right? It's very simple. Container, this is a longer word. Instead of writing container, write what kind of container it is. Is it a bottle? Is it a jar? Is it a package? Okay. Database, instead of saying database, just say information. Or diminutive, just say small. Eliminate, just say get rid of, okay? So in English, the simpler phrases are usually the phrasal verbs. For example, instead of eliminate, which is a Latin-based verb, okay, eliminate, in Spanish they say eliminar, okay, and lots of Latin-based languages sound similar to this. Instead of using the Latin root or the word with the Latin root, okay, use a phrasal verb, get rid of. 3 words, it's simpler in English, believe it or not, okay? It's not simple to learn, but once you know it, it's simpler for English speakers to understand. Instead of saying facilitate, you know, they facilitated this, just say help, okay? Or instead of saying indicate, you could say to tell or to say or to show. Good. Okay, so the list is pretty long, so we're going to skip over that. So it says, small words are better than big words, whether you're writing to farmers or physicists. Okay, so it doesn't matter how educated the person is, fishermen or financiers. Even the best educated people don't resent simple words. Okay, but simple words are the only words many people understand. Okay, and don't think your copy or writing, don't think your writing will be ignored because you write in plain English. In Shakespeare's most famous sentence, to be or not to be, the biggest word is 3 letters long. Okay, the next tip is to avoid technical jargon. Okay, again, technical jargon is okay if you're writing a technical paper to an audience who understands the jargon, but even when you're doing that, try to use all these other tips to make your writing as simple as possible, okay? But basically, you don't want to write above your audience's understanding, okay? You don't want to make it more technical and difficult than the person who's reading it will understand. That was a complicated sentence. Okay, I'm just going to skip that part. The next part is be concise. Good copy is concise. So they keep saying copy, copy, copy because this book is about copywriting. Remember that? But it's a specific type of writing. It's advertising, but we could just say good writing. Good writing is concise. Unnecessary words waste the reader's time, dilute the message, and take up space that could be put to better use. Rewriting is the key to producing concise writing or concise copy. And my friend and mentor says this all the time. His name is Charles, and he says writing is the easy part. Editing is the hard part, and it's so true. It's easy to get your words on paper, believe it or not. Even if it's hard for you, that is and should be the easy part. Editing should be the hard part, and not enough people edit their work. You need to edit every email before you send it, every essay before you turn it in, everything. Look for mistakes, not just grammar mistakes though, and not just punctuation mistakes, but you need to look at your sentences. Do you have extra words that don't need to be there? Is your sentence too long? Can you break it up into 2 sentences, okay? So let's look at how they do some of this. Okay, rewriting is the key to producing concise writing. When you write your first draft, the words just flow and you can't help being chatty. In the editing stage, unnecessary words are deleted to make the writing sparkle with vigor and clarity. All right. So here are some more tips. Make your writing concise. Avoid redundancies, okay? So redundancies are saying the same thing over and over again, but in different ways. So avoid redundancies, avoid run-on sentences, wordy phrases, the passive voice. Believe it or not, this is a big tip in writing. Avoid the passive voice. It's indirect. And in writing, we need to be direct. Say what something is, not what something isn't. Instead of saying it isn't big, say it's small. Does that make sense? It isn't big. Instead of saying that, say it's small. So avoid wordy phrases, avoid the passive voice. The passive voice can be used sometimes. You know, I've seen it used in like historical documents, like this bridge was built, you know, in 1986 or something like that. That's okay. But in general, we want to use the active voice in English because it's more clear and more crisp. Okay, so unnecessary adjectives and other poor stylistic habits that take up space but add little to no meaning or clarity. Edit your writing to remove unnecessary words, phrases, sentences, and paragraphs, okay? Really take that stuff out. When I send an email, I edit it, at least 3 times. I read it and I'm taking out unnecessary words, unnecessary sentences. I'm really trying to make my writing tight, right? Where there's nothing extra. It's bare bones, nothing extra. It's just enough to keep people interested without being too wordy. And honestly, I can even get a lot better at this. That's why I'm studying all this writing, right? To keep improving. So here are some examples of wordy phrases and how to make them more concise. So it gives us another list. And let's go through some of these. At first glance, okay? This is a very common phrase that you might hear. And if nobody ever told you otherwise, you might think, oh, this is a great phrase to use. It's okay. But if you're writing, just say at first, okay? At first. Instead of saying at first glance, we thought he was a stranger. No, just say at first we thought he was a stranger, okay? The number 20. Instead of saying and writing the number 20, just write 20 because 20 is a number. So that's an unnecessary redundancy, okay? You're saying that it is a number, but it is a number. So you don't need to say that it is a number. The next one is free gift. Just say gift. A gift is always free, okay? Whether or not, just say whether, okay? A general principle, just say a principle because principles are always general. A specific example, just say an example because examples are always specific. Instead of saying he is a man who, just say he, okay? Instead of saying they managed to use, just say they used, okay? So there are several other examples here, and as I'm reading this, it's so funny because I realize that I make some of these mistakes. I can hear myself saying a specific example rather than just an example, okay? So let's see if there's anything else I want to say. No, there's a lot of advice in this book. So if you like this video, you guys, please let me know in the comments and I can definitely make more videos like this. Let me know what you learned also about writing and if you have any questions about writing, because if you have questions, I can make a follow-up video giving you more tips and answering your questions. But basically, what I really wanted to share in this video, besides sharing tips, is I wanted to share with you my method for learning. As I said earlier, I'm an independent learner, so I'm always studying different books and going through them and learning. And you guys can do this too. Like, don't wait for me to make a video about a specific thing that you want to learn. Do whatever you can to learn that on your own and read books about it, you guys. This is what I love about books. I sound like such a nerd right now, but I love that you can just open it up and start getting all the answers to all your questions right away, and I can read it as slow or as fast as I want. Like, for example, maybe this video, it's almost 30 minutes. Maybe this video was a little bit too long for you. Well, if it's too long, just go get the books yourself and go read through them and you will start improving your writing right away. So if you use writing on a daily or weekly basis for your work, if writing is important to you, if you are in an academic program right now, if you have to pass the IELTS exam, if you write in English and send business emails, or if you're a business owner, if you want to become a blogger or whatever it is, you have to be studying this, okay? And you can't wait for somebody to teach you everything that you have to know. You have to study on your own and then come prepared with questions to discuss with other people who are also studying it so you guys can improve together, okay? So that's it. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'm really sorry that the original video just had no sound because I don't know, I feel like maybe I explained some other things in that video that I didn't get to in this one. But that's it, you guys. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.